Glenn, do you want to go next?
I, Glenn, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will America and the state of Minnesota and faithfully discharge the duties as a member of the City of East Bethel Planning Commission, the County of Anoka, and the state of Minnesota to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Thank you. Sherry?
I, Sherry Allensbach, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Minnesota and faithfully discharge the duties as a member of the City of East Bethel Planning Commission, the County of Anoka, and the state of Minnesota to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome again. Do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Thank you, Sharon. Second?
I'll second it. This is Sherry.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Okay.
Oh, Stephanie?
Yeah, sorry, gotta do roll call on all of them. Okay, so Sharon made the motion, Sherry seconded it, so we have Wanda,
Aye.
Glenn,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Daryl.
Aye.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing for a variance.
Well,
Question.
Yes.
approval of minutes, Wanda.
Oh, I skipped the approval of minutes. Oh, how could I do that? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for November 24th of 2020?
I have a question before we do that. Actually, with adopting the agenda, do we not need to add one more item, appointing a chair, or are we waiting on that one?
We're going to do that in February.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry.
Back to approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes or any changes or additions for the November 20th, 24th, 2020 minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. All those in favor? Stephanie?
Sharon?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
Wanda?
Aye.
Glenn seconded it, so we have Tom?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Daryl made the motion.
Okay, now I can jump ahead to the public hearing for variance request at 341 218th Avenue Northeast for the placement of a detached accessory structure. And Stephanie or Aaron, whoever's up.
Great. So we're holding a public hearing to consider the recommendation for a variance request for the construction of a detached accessory structure closer to the front property line than the primary structure on a property zoned R1, single family residential. This property is located in the rural, the request action is incorrect. This is in the rural residential zoning district. It's located within the Briarwood Acres subdivision. The property owner is planning for retirement and is requesting a variance for the placement of a detached accessory structure closer to the street than the primary structure. I've attached a site plan. Under zoning appendix A, section 14-2F, it states no accessory building or a detached private garage shall be located nearer the front lot line than the principal building, except when the lot is 3 acres or greater and the existing principal building is located a minimum of 200 feet from the lot line. Then the accessory building or detached private garage may be located closer to the front lot line than the principal dwelling, but not closer than 50% of the principal dwelling setback. In the case of a corner lot, the front line should be located on the side which the principal building is addressed. The remaining lot side with street frontage shall meet the minimum front yard setback. This property is 4.64 acres, with the primary structure set back approximately 120 feet from the front lot line. This request does not meet criteria set forth to allow the structure be placed near the road, so variance would be required for the placement of a detached accessory structure. This lot is heavily wooded in the rear yard, with a significant portion of the rear yard also being classified as a freshwater emergent wetland. The septic system for this residence is due north the eastern protrusion of the garage, impeding placement of the structure behind the house. Consideration of a variance requires the Planning Commission to consider the three-factor test for practical difficulties. For the factor of reasonableness, the property owner is looking to build a detached accessory structure in which he may have a hobby shop and residential storage. These are listed as accessory uses in the rural residential zoning district. The second factor is the landowner's problem is due to circumstances unique to the property and not caused by the landowner. When considering the variance for building this property is unique in that the topography challenges consist of a significant portion of the lot being covered in a large stand of trees, and is very limited in where new construction could take place. The placement of the system is of the septic system also prevents the placement of a detached accessory structure in the rear yard. The third factor is that the variance would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. There are a significant number of properties in the subdivision with detached garages. 3 of the 24 lots have garages that are closer to the front lot line of the property than the principal structure, including the neighboring property directly to the south. The proposed detached accessory structure will not encroach on required setbacks. It will be located from the road, further from the road than both of the structures on the easterly neighbor's property. And the construction of a new detached accessory structure will also maintain the character of the neighborhood by providing an enclosed structure for which the property owner can store recreational vehicles and screen them from all adjacent properties. Staff is requesting the Planning Commission hold a public hearing to recommend the approval to City Council for the placement of a detached accessory structure closer to the road than the primary structure on a rural residential property.
Thank you, Erin. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to speak towards this variance request? I did see that the owner was on the call.
I'm right here.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Not really. This is kind of the only place I can put it, unless I wanted to cut a road back to the woods, and that's just not feasible. So
Okay,
there would be room behind the house, but I'd have to be able to pull in a log or something, and that's just not gonna happen.
not at retirement.
No. If I was 25, maybe, but not now.
Okay. Well, I think, is there anybody else out there who would like to speak to this public hearing? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing. Can I get a motion for the approval of the variance request at 341 218th Avenue Northeast for the placement of a detached accessory structure?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance request with the inclusion of the staff recommendations.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Sharon. Stephanie?
And roll call, so Sharon seconded it, and we have Sherry,
Aye.
Wanda,
Aye.
Glenn made the motion, Tom,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Daryl.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, does anybody have any questions, discussion, comments, additions to what we've heard from Erin and from Mr. Lindstedt? I went out there today and drove by, and there really truly is no easier place to put it. And if he went to the west, he's right, he'd have to log it. And to the east, he's got a fence and his sand mound. So I did not see any other, and it will not detract from the neighborhood in the slightest. Hearing no other discussion, I will take a vote or Stephanie?
We just did that.
No?
Yeah.
What's the question?
Oh, we did. That is
Yes, we
correct.
did, yeah.
So we're all set.
Okay, and then this will be, heard at what meeting, Erin?
The February 8th, both of these items will be heard at the February 8th City Council meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Lindstedt, and you will be heard at the city council meeting and they will give you the instructions from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a good evening.
Have a
The
good
next
night.
public hearing for the variance request at 23214 Baltimore Street Northeast, a second driveway.
All right, 1 second. Let me-
Thank you.
Okay, so this is for the consideration of recommendation of an amendment of findings of fact and the approval of a variance request for a second driveway on a property zoned R1 single family residential. In Appendix A, Section 1015A1, access requirement states properties in the R1 and R2 zoning districts are allowed one access point from the street. This property is located in the R1 single family residential zoning district and is located within the Baltimore Cedar Creek subdivision. This residence was built in 2014 after the approval of the subdivision. The property owner recently applied for a detached accessory structure permit to construct a 40 by 60 foot pole barn on the south portion of the property, as you can see with the light blue box on the screen. At this time, it was noted that there are compliance issues on this property, several which were noted by the building department as health and safety violations. When these compliance issues were noted, staff met with the property owner to discuss compliance before the issuance of the permit, which also required approval of a variance for the illegal second driveway by city council or removal of the driveway. Presently, the zoning ordinance and building code violations on the property are as follows. There is no permit obtained for the pool nor inspections completed. This is a federal as well as state and city requirement. The garage located on the north side of the property measures approximately 344 square feet, and per the building code, it exceeds the 200 square foot minimum requirement for a building permit. At the time of meeting with the resident, he stated that it was an ice house. However, building code only allows for the use of temporary structures if permitted by the building official for a maximum of 180 days, and they cannot be utilized for storage. The city of East Bethel does not allow for temporary structures that are used for storage purposes as listed in zoning appendix A, section 14-5A. The second driveway is being used to park commercial vehicles, including trailers. This property is zoned R1 single family residential, in which the parking of commercial vehicles has been prohibited by city ordinance since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1971. Though there have been amendments to the ordinance, the property owner would still be required to qualify for a home occupation interim use permit, which would need to be approved by city council. There's a shipping container on the second driveway, which is a prohibited use in the city of East Bethel as noted in zoning appendix A, section 10-4, accessory storage containers, and defined in zoning appendix A, section 1-9. Staff supports the recommendation of the approval of this variance with the conditions as stated in the attached resolution of approval to ensure compliance with the Minnesota Uniform Building Code, as well as the East Bethel zoning ordinance. Below you will find the findings of fact presented to staff by the property owner. Please note these findings of fact are not adequate to the standard required by Minnesota statute. So staff is requesting that the Planning Commission recommend the amendment of the resolution to include more detailed findings of fact for the approval of this variance. Staff included a resolution of denial if the Planning Commission feels it is not reasonable to recommend the approval of this variance. The findings of fact to support the resolution of denial are noted as staff notes in each of the three factors. The consideration of a variance requires the Planning Commission consider the three-factor test. For reasonableness, the applicant put the request for a second driveway to access the proposed detached accessory structure is reasonable, as the primary driveway is too short to establish a building, to build an additional driveway space around. However, the staff notes that we agree with this fact, and it would be reasonable for a future detached accessory structure, but it will not be adequate for the proposed structure as the structure is on the opposite side of the property. The second factor is that the landowner's problem is due to circumstances unique to the property and not caused by the landowner. The landowner's finding of fact was that there are a lot of wetlands and restricted high grounds on the property. Staff noted the circumstances leading to the requirement of this variance were created by the property owner through the installation of this driveway without a permit or zoning approval. At the time of application of this residence, the R1 single-family residential driveway requirement of one street access had been in effect for 4 years. The third factor is that a variance would not alter the essential characteristic of the neighborhood. In this case, the driveway has existed since 2014. So the majority of the neighborhood has already gotten used to the fact that there is this second driveway. But staff's note is that this is the only property in the neighborhood with a second driveway or road access onto Baltimore Street. And this driveway is facilitating the code violations on this property. The recommendation is that city staff is requesting the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and recommend an amendment to the findings of fact, as well as recommendation of approval to City Council for a second driveway on an R1 single-family residential property.
All right, at this time, I will open the public hearing for variance request at 23214 Baltimore Street Northeast for a second driveway. Is there anyone out there that would like to speak to this?
Would you like me to read the email that was submitted by the southern neighbor earlier today? I sent a link to the south neighbor, Steve Click, so that he could come to the meeting tonight, but he was unfortunately unable to. And after a phone conversation, I let him know that if he emailed it to me, I would read it as a part of the record. And his email stated, I, Stephen Click, am the owner of a neighboring property, and I support the resolution of approval as proposed by city staff.
Okay. Is there anybody else out there? Is the owner is not on?
No, he's not.
Okay. I guess I'll take a motion for the approval and then we'll discuss it.
I think it might better discussing
Discuss it first.
Mhm.
All right.
issues here.
We go back and forth on this. So I will open it up to our discussion. And how about, since it's so hard to hear sometimes, how about I'll just go down the list, and if you have something to add, you can add it at that time. And Daryl, I'll start with you.
I think that city staff has made some really good comments on the proposal and has made some very clear points for us to consider in terms of the non-compliance of this property as it is right now.
Sharon, do you have something to add?
I really don't. You know, the driveway's there. I guess I don't see what else you're gonna do.
All right, thank you. Jim?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. I'm just curious. The driveway, the second driveway that was put in without a permit and everything else, has the city been out there to look at it and check it out at all? Is there a culvert and stuff like that there?
There's no culvert. There was no review done of this, and it appears that the north side is actually too close to the property line. We require all driveways be at least 5 feet from the property line, and it appears that the northern portion is actually touching the property line.
Really? Okay. Because I have a question too. It's like on your drawing, I didn't know where the new pole building was going to be. So how are they going to access that? They're going to go around all that area to get to there? Is
Well,
that,
initially at the time of application, he wanted to add a third driveway, at which I told him that there's no grounds for that.
right?
And that if he would like to, that the second driveway would need to wrap around, or that he could potentially change the site plan where the building could meet with the second driveway. Because there is room based on the setback requirements and the like position of where the driveway is, that if he wanted this to
To go,
meet up with that,
Like,
it would be capable of it.
I would think that would be a better option, actually. Just, my thought is just for, hopefully there'll never be a situation, but, if the fire department or anything has to get back to that pole building, it'd be a lot easier to go to the second driveway and go straight back versus around the pool and over to the other side.
Based on where the location is, the fire department would have reasonable access to it from the street. With the new detached, I can pull up the aerial or the proposed.
How far from the street will he be with that new building if that goes?
The requirement in this area is 30 feet. The closest section is 30 feet.
Mhm.
Feet from the bullet, it's 33 feet from the center of the road. And then 50 feet from 10 is what you're saying to the building?
No, it'll be 33 feet or 30 feet from the red line on the bot, like on,
Okay, that's a iron.
yeah. So
He
he's-
also has this entire thing fenced, Jim. This entire thing is fenced in a black chain link fence, which you can
Does that,
sort of see.
that's right, yeah. That's over by the second driveway though, right? It ends by.
No, it goes all the way down to his neighbors in the front, and then it's wood fence down the south side and wood fence down the north side.
So, oh, okay, so there is that way, okay. Okay. Well, I would say if possible, I would put it right behind the second driveway. It'd be a lot more accessible. But that's my opinion of it. Just so the city checks to make sure the driveway is put in correct, because there is standards that we need to know. So I don't know if there's been any soil borings or not, to see if he's used the right materials.
we don't require soil borings for the placement of a driveway. At this point, the compliance issue for the driveway would be requiring him to obtain a driveway permit and having a building inspector go out there to check on it. So there is potential that they may need to remove 5 feet on the north side if council amends this. However, with the granting of the variance, it may just stay as is.
What may stay
if
at
council-
the driveway the way it is?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The driveway is what you're talking about?
Yeah. If council grants this variance, then they can choose if he needs to meet that 5-foot setback or if it can stay as is.
Okay, so then buildings and stuff, they're like that. So we also got to approve that as well.
The only thing that this is addressing is the driveway.
So those buildings are not going to be moved, they're going to be there?
There's only one of them is a permanent structure.
Really? Okay. It's out there and I seen that.
The rest of them are all temporary. None of them have footings. None of them are secured.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Glenn, do you have something to add, please?
Yes. I guess what bothers me about this is actually the precedent it sets for somebody to do something that's against code, is done improperly, and creates a situation that then anyone else can want to do the same thing. It's actually, they could look at that and say, okay, if I want to do something and I don't want to go through the city process, I'll just do it and then it'll be there, and then it'll be like squatters' rights. And then we backtrack and approve it because it's the easier thing to do. But I think that just sets a bad precedent here. And in addition to that, you take things on a case-by-case basis. We don't have the property owner to explain what's going on and to get an idea of where he's at with this. we have all these other compliance issues. It just seems like we're compounding a situation by granting that. And additionally, the issues that Jim raised about the access from that driveway to where this thing would be located. So none of it appeals to me.
Is that it, Glenn?
That's it for me.
Thank you. Sherry?
I have to agree with Glenn. I was out there today and, saw that the driveway is in, there's all the non-compliance, the storage units and temporary buildings out there. And then he wants this building on the opposite side of the property with no access to that from anything on the property. So I can see more issues coming in the future, especially if we don't make sure that what he has there right now isn't changed so that it conforms with the ordinances that we have in place already. And if that means moving the building he wants to put in now, so be it, because then it would have access from the second driveway, which is already there, and not have a third driveway suddenly appear someday to access this. So I would be one to deny this.
Thank you, Sherry. Tom, you're it.
Okay, I think it's, the city is, or the staff has laid out rules and regulations to it. And yes, I agree that maybe permits weren't pulled and maybe they weren't, maybe things weren't processed the way they should have. But at this point, we have a resident that wants to maybe get on board and do things the way they are. So I think we should be proactive in that manner. This is a 20-acre parcel. I think he's going to probably figure out how to lay out a road to get in there. I think he probably has enough room some way, shape, or form. And I think that's, in my mind, that's his right, how he wants to lay it out, as long as it complies to the city rules. So I'm in favor of him getting into regulation. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Tom. And then I also was out there today, and the gentleman's done a really nice job with that piece of property. He's got it fenced very nicely. Everything's lined up. The pool's back there, and granted, I think there were 3 vehicles in the driveway. There was a truck along with 2 portable buildings, the fish house, the storage trailer that Aaron talked about, and one other thing in the driveway. The property directly north of him has horses, and they do have a gate right there at the end of Baltimore Street that opens into their property. And albeit it's not a driveway per se, but you can tell it's used to pull horse trailers in and out of there. And then they are actually, the front of their house and home is up on the 65 frontage street. So, it's kind of had this never come up, I would have never realized there was a house back there. I mean, you really have to want to go back there to get it. I was wondering how it came up for an issue with compliance. I would recommend that they get, if this can be done, they get the pool inspected and in compliance. They get the driveway inspected and in compliance. If that means he loses 5 feet, he loses 5 feet. But I think we need to have him get the things that are there in compliance before we consider something else. That's my opinion on it. Does anybody else want to add to that?
I do.
Go ahead, Glenn.
If we were to deny the variance request, is there a mechanism to have them get into compliance?
It would begin the code enforcement steps. He'd get the standard series of letters, start receiving the citations, and then if it's still not brought into compliance with removing the driveway and obtaining the correct permits, then it would go to court for criminal prosecution.
Well, I don't think I'm saying to take him to court. I'm saying to give him the opportunity to put it in compliance. I mean, go back to him and you have to get this in compliance. And then we can do the variance on the second driveway. But as it sits now, I'm hesitant to approve it as it sits now.
Right. I agree with that.
I see there's 7 recommendations on your paperwork.
Mhm.
Him in compliance with everything. So I agree with what Wanda's saying too. If he gets his stuff all together and they get the right permits, everything passes, then I think it'd be okay to do. But he has to be in compliance before we move forward with it, I would say. That's my opinion.
The recommendations on there have a due date.
Yep.
They have to be done by a certain date or the variance becomes null and void.
Yep.
That was the staff
21.
recommendation for approving that and giving him a deadline.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything else to add? Okay. At this time, I will take a motion to, how am I going to do this here? I want to make a motion, Stephanie, make a motion for approval. And then make a motion for, what am I doing? Somebody help me here.
Yeah, you can make a motion of approval with the modifications to the conditions. If you want to add conditions or.
Personally, I would make a motion to table till all the stuff, the building permits and stuff have been obtained by June 1st, 2021. And then after that, I'd say that we could vote on it. That gives them time to take care of all this stuff.
The city would have to recommend denial because we only have 60 days to approve all land use applications. So we would have to deny it and have him reapply.
Well, we could table it, and then the city just has to do an extension for him and send why. But Wanda, if you want to, you can put your motion on the table, and then if you wanted some modifications to the conditions, you can do that as well.
Okay. I'm not sure which way to go. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve this? I'll go that way.
I'll make a motion to approve proceeding, provided all stipulations have been satisfied to city recommendations.
I'll second.
Okay. Stephanie, you're up.
Okay, we have Sharon seconded it, and Sherry,
Aye.
Wanda,
Nay.
and Glenn.
Nay.
Tom, you made the motion. Jim
Nay.
and Daryl.
No.
All right, motion is, that motion failed. So we have 3 yeses and 4 noes.
And with that, can we go back to him or to the city council with the recommendation that he comes into compliance with everything and reapplies?
We can still make another motion.
Okay. You
For-
can make another.
Right.
For
Make another-
denial or for the modifications?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Yeah.
Glenn.
I make a motion that we table this issue until the property is in compliance, and we will revisit it after that.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call. We have Sharon,
Aye.
Sherry,
Aye. We can do that.
Wanda seconded it, and then we have Glenn made the motion, Tom,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Daryl.
Yes.
All right, motion carried.
All right, thank you. That was a good discussion. Next, I would like to welcome Suzanne Urkel back as our city council liaison. We had her 2 years ago, I guess. And Suzanne, do you have any updates for us?
There's not a lot going on, but I'll just give a brief couple of things that we've been doing. We did assign committees, and I'm lucky enough to be back with you guys because I kind of really missed you guys. We did amend the fee schedules for commercial siding and roofing fees, which instead of it being $100, it's now going off of the valuation. So our commercial people are going to be paying a lot more. We did cancel the Spring Town Hall, so you know that. And the 186th Avenue Viking Boulevard Service Road is out for bids now. Let me see. And East Bethel renewed the Midco for our cable franchise. That's about all I have. Glad to be back. Nice to see you all. Look forward to whenever we can go back and be in real life.
Thank you, Suzanne. Stephanie, Jack, Aaron, does anybody have anything to update us on?
Just a reminder that there will be a meeting on Tuesday, February 23rd. We have a full agenda already for that meeting.
Maybe in person?
We'll see.
You'll see. Aaron, do you have anything to add?
I'm hoping that I'll make it to the March Planning Commission meeting, but as of right now, February may be my last for a couple of months.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Posted, yes.
Jack, do you have anything in your hiding down there?
No, I'm good. I just wanted to hear some conversation tonight.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move a motion to adjourn. This is Sherry.
Somebody want to second that?
Second.
Glenn will second it.
Who seconded it? Glenn?
Glenn.
Okay. Sharon?
Aye.
Sherry made the motion. Wanda?
Aye.
Glenn seconded it. Tom?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Daryl.
Aye.
Thank you all. Welcome to a new year. It can't be any worse than last year. I probably shouldn't say that. But
Don't say that.
yeah, I know. Don't say it. Don't jinx it. So I look forward to the time when we can all sit in City Hall and do what we need to do. In the meantime, I thank you all for your patience, your diligence, and here's to 2021. Good night.
Hi, everybody.
I agree.
Jeff,